twice a month to
Yes.
handle the caseload here. And the good thing, most mayor's courts that I looked into meet like at 4 p.m., which works towards people that work, you know, and they don't have to take off work or don't have to take off as much time to come, you know, to the court. So there is that advantage. But, you know, this would be a mayor's appointment with the consent of council.
Right. I mean, I think technically under the Ohio statute, the mayor could serve as the judge of the mayor's
We
court.
could, but I'm
I
not
don't think you wanna
proposing
do
that.
that, Mike.
I don't want to do that.
Rumors have already floated.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's interested in it as well.
I wouldn't have been.
I'm mindful of time, and we could probably continue some of this conversation with the agenda item, but that study that was done 9 years ago, is that correct? For
Well,
the
it's 2019.
Okay. Is there any reason to believe that a similar study would result in different information now? That's one question. And the other question I have is related to staffing. In terms of a clerk, for example, I think we would need to hire one clerk, but then how does that work with illnesses, time off, in terms of the flow
Yeah.
of the mayor's court?
Yeah, I mean, Monroe has one clerk, and of course, there are times when she's off on vacation, so, you know, they would work around that schedule. But those are some of the issues that we would have to work out. We might try to cross-train someone to collect fees or something like that. It could be that we end up hiring 2 part-time clerks. And so, you know, those are things that, the main thing is I don't want to spend any more time if council's not interested in doing this. You know, we've got enough projects to do, but if we are interested, then let's begin the process. And there will be other questions that'll pop up. And, you know, I want to work with the mayor and maybe some other council members to develop, you know, the advertisement for the magistrate and so on and so forth. So, you know, there's a lot that needs to be done before this is going to happen.
One more and then we should.
Sorry, I had 2 quick points, hopefully. So the reason I might have been confused is, as I think it was different that just council's here versus a council and mayor's court, is the time that we use. We use 3 evenings a month, and that would be, well, maybe just several days and not the whole week, but you basically need a full-time building, whereas we could move easily, but a mayor's court probably couldn't. Something to consider.
Of course, the mayor's court only meets like twice a month.
Yeah, and I didn't know that either,
Yeah.
although that probably still means we need the whole building accessible, in the sense that you can't blend it out during the day except for those off days. And I think I forgot my other point.
Sorry.
Well, if you do have some other questions, because I see it's now 7:30, send me an email and I'll answer those questions.
Is there a cost to waiting, other than the people who have to go to Hamilton until we put one in place?
That's entirely up to council.
We might learn something from that.
Yeah, it may be informative to have an updated review. We did talk about that in the last.
Yeah, well, I should answer that. I don't think you're going to see any other options. I mean, we know what the court system is in Ohio, and it's basically either we do what the county prosecutor wants or we create a mayor's court or municipal court. And so, you know, I don't think those options are going to change.
There are
at
no
all.
other options.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, do I
Thank
have a motion to adjourn from the work session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Councilor Snavely. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We will move to our regular city council meeting. Ms. Barber, you may call the roll.
Ms. Franklin,
Here.
Ms. French,
Here.
Ms. Ornelas,
Here,
Mr. Snavely,
Here.
Mr. Vinch,
Here.
Mr. Bracken,
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here. All right, if you are willing and able, we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
second,
Moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Councilor Ornelas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. We will start with public participation tonight. And the first thing I have on the agenda is a proclamation for Akiva Greenberg Bar Mitzvah Day. Whereas Akiva Greenberg is celebrating Bar Mitzvah, a milestone marking the beginning of Jewish adulthood, responsibility, and the commitment to Torah, mitzvahs, and the Jewish people. And whereas Akiva has grown up in a home dedicated to kindness, education, hospitality, and service, reflecting the values that strengthen the fabric of Oxford. And whereas the Greenberg family, who have answered the call of the Lubavitcher Rebbe to establish Shabbat houses around the world, have contributed immensely to the spiritual, cultural, and communal life of Oxford through their leadership of Shabbat at Miami University, enriching students, residents, and the broader community. And whereas the city of Oxford recognizes the significance of this moment for Akiva, his family, and the entire community who join in celebrating this joyous occasion. Now therefore, I, Michael Smith, Mayor of the City of Oxford, Ohio, do hereby proclaim February 21st, 2026, Akiva Greenberg Bar Mitzvah Day, and encourage all residents to join in recognizing Akiva's accomplishments and wishing him continued growth, happiness, and success as he enters Jewish adulthood by inspiring others through acts of goodness and kindness that help make our world a better place.
Akiva Greenberg, 111 East Spring Street. Thank you for this meaningful proclamation in honor of my bar mitzvah. A bar mitzvah is a traditional rite of passage for a young Jewish boy or girl, marking the transition from childhood to responsibility. It is traditionally celebrated with family and friends, as mine will be this weekend in Oxford. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for helping make Oxford such a wonderful city, and I am very proud to call Oxford my home.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, we'll move on to public comments. Anyone wishing to address council about items not on the agenda or on the consent agenda tonight, please come forward at this time, state your name and address for the record, and we will give you 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tariq Farkson, 211 North College. Happy to be back for the first time this semester. I'm sure many of you know this is my last semester at Miami, so I'll be cherishing these moments a little bit more special, especially this semester. Happy to be back. Mayor Smith, glad to be working with you. Come with a few updates from the student government. First, we want to say thank you to city staff for their cooperation on the Pave the Way commitment that we had last semester. We know that the lighting assessment is going to be coming up on you guys' goals this year, so that is huge for us to see, and we want to say thank you for you guys' support through that. The recently established Town Gown Council has met a few times now and is running greatly. Assistant Manager Green, Chief Jones, and the university leadership will be working to promote our Good Neighbor campaign, which is what we'll be working on this semester. The Good Neighbor initiative is a prevention-focused initiative designed to reduce off-campus disturbances while strengthening the trust between students, residents, the city of Oxford, and the university while increasing awareness of the university's Good Neighbor policy. Mainly through social media channels and other communication channels through rental agencies and landlords is how we aim to achieve our goal this semester and making that a long-term goal even after this semester goes by. And as we all know now, we're in a midterm election year, so ASG and the university will be taking steps to ensure that not only Miami, but the Oxford community at large is informed on their rights of voting, how to vote, how to register to vote, request absentee ballots, and we would hope to find ways to partner with you guys through all that. So looking forward to a great last semester here for me, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is J. Marcus Jobe, Professor Emeritus Information Systems and Analytics, Miami University. I'm homeowner at 15 Old Farm Road, Oxford, Ohio. I moved into this residence in February 1993, and I moved to Oxford in 1984, and I like it here. I'm here to comment on the proposed sidewalk project described in the January 29, 2026 Oxford Free Press, written by Aidan Carney. In fact, I only became aware of the article's content on Friday, February 13, 2026. The article reported a proposed cost of $153,000 to install a sidewalk that would be located on 9 homeowner lots in the Heritage subdivision, including mine. I received no notification or inquiry from the Oxford City government regarding the sidewalk matter. None. Further, I have yet to receive or read any authorized motivation for the project from city government. From discussion with neighbors, no homeowners amongst the 9 immediately impacted by the proposed project were contacted by the city in advance or during the now planned sidewalk project. Further, none of us were contacted concerning officially how much each of us must pay and the impact on future real estate tax changes because of improvements. The Oxford Press article states the project is not currently in the City of Oxford's capital improvement plan, so the city must find a source of funding. So, this project affects not just the 9 of us, but all of Oxford community, because funding $153,000 for the sidewalk project takes away from other more worthy projects. As a result of my almost 42 years of living in Oxford, I have 2 alternative projects in mind. One project saves lives in other communities, and the other project would most certainly enable literally thousands of Oxford residents, including the students, live a more safe and comfortable life every year, and that is a fact. I'm confident the total cost for both together would be less than $153,000, that's for sure. If the Oxford City government wants to work together with those affected by a possible project, I wonder, is the city's current approach hurting or helping the possibility of buy-in from those affected? We don't even know the motivation for the project. If we did, perhaps we could propose an optimal solution and work in partnership and harmony. Regarding the issue at hand, is it possible the city's approach is that of a big government with no transparency and no authentic focus on the voter, an approach that cancels citizens' valuable input, creates unnecessary polarity, and quite likely a huge financial waste? Could it be the city's approach matches the heavy-handed, centrally controlled administration methods with barriers to voices of reason from the public so prevalent in the USSR, now in the dustbin of history, in large part due to their uninformed administrative tactics and strategies? Just asking. The USSR's methods are not welcome in Oxford. Look at what happened to the USSR. Speaking of USSR, I visited Ukraine at least 50 times since 1993. I was at the Orange Revolution. I was at the revolution or upheaval in 2014. And I know what's going on over there. I was invited to teach and give multiple talks at universities, churches, and civic groups across Ukraine, including at least one civic leader from our sister city, Dubno. I've been there many times, before we became sister city and since then. I was there when the attacks were coming. So, many of the presentations and teaching were on total quality management, giving us 14 points, and statistical methods for quality improvement. It was my privilege to work with multiple university presidents and high-level government leaders, including the former Ukrainian Minister of Economics, to lay necessary groundwork for government, business, and education recovery. Messages particularly well received by the Ukrainians were: focus on the customer, think about it, change, let's see where we got here. Focus on the customer, change to flat organizations without barriers, empower people, teams, and employee involvement, and transparency. Whoa. I co-authored 2 English language university level textbooks that cover these topics, and were used at major universities in the U.S., foreign countries, and Miami University, yes, right here. My co-author and I also published, according to my Ukrainian colleagues, the first ever Ukrainian language text on statistical quality.
You have 1 minute.
Excuse me?
You have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you. Texts were distributed free of charge across all of Ukraine. And what they liked the most was transparency and eliminate barriers, focus on the customer, and so on. Please, let's consider what happened in the USSR. Facts are stubborn and the data is irrefutable. I appeal the proposed sidewalk project be stopped. There's no publicly known reason for it. Maybe a low-cost or no-cost solution different from the proposed very expensive option is possible. Instead, other projects more beneficial to the Oxford community are almost certainly worth pursuing. I'm not going away.
Thank you.
My name is Debbie Samland, and I live at 105 Old Farm Road. And I, too, am here regarding the proposed sidewalk installation that will impact 9 individual home lots in the Heritage subdivision. I'm referencing the article that appeared in the Oxford Free Press on January 23rd that reported a $153,000 plan to install a sidewalk on 9 homeowners' lots on Old Farm Road. I have had contact with Doug Elliott and have contacted the homeowners impacted by this proposal from Contreras to 105 Old Farm Road. Several of these lots include fully mature, healthy, beautiful maple trees. First of all, the cost of the proposed sidewalk installation has been reported to be $153,000. I was told that homeowners would be responsible for 25% of that cost. This would total $38,250. This would be $4,250 for each homeowner. That's a lot of money, in addition to any already identified repairs in curbs or drive aprons. On February 12th and 13th, I personally contacted all 9 homeowners who would be impacted by this proposed plan. At least 3 of the 9 homes are owned by retirees. In my survey, no homeowner reported being contacted in advance of this planning. All of them were surprised about this proposal. No homeowner was formally advised of the cost or potential addition to their current Oxford City taxes or personal property taxes. No homeowner wanted the sidewalk. Also, I understand that Country Club Drive and Old Farm Road are scheduled for repaving and costly curb and sidewalk repairs in the summer of 2026. Homeowners have historically paid for these costly curb and sidewalk repairs as well. In one example, we have a homeowner on a fixed income who recently lost her husband. She is concerned that 1 month of her annual income would be consumed by the project. She wants her 4 mature maple trees left in place to continue to contribute to the attractive entrance to the subdivision. And secondly, we see no reason for this to be a #1 project that needs to be taken care of, as mentioned in the newspaper article. To my knowledge, there has never been an accident with a motorized vehicle in the 60 years of the subdivision's history. Old Farm Road and Country Club Drive are dead-end streets. Parents comfortably walk with their children and neighbors with their pets in the streets or on the sidewalk daily. Children regularly play and ride their bikes on both streets. The traffic is neighborhood cars and delivery trucks. It is a safe neighborhood, and we are very thankful for that. So finally, this proposed improvement is unnecessary, unwelcomed, and will be a financial burden to all of us, and especially the homeowners who are retired and on fixed incomes, as well as for the city of Oxford. They're paying for 75% of it. My suggestion is that the city council suspend any follow-through on the Heritage Sidewalk Extension project. If for some reason the proposal is going to be discussed again, we, the homeowners, want to be directly informed, not by a newspaper, and have an opportunity to give our input.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Michael. I live at 129 Country Club Drive. I am here also for the proposed sidewalk. I emailed each one of the council members today with the 5-point breakdown of why this plan does not make sense. I will highlight some of that for the record. There is a historical inconsistency with this in that this neighborhood has existed for 60 years, and this has been a project that has not even remotely been requested by the residents of the neighborhood. There is no documented history of any safety issues with that portion of the neighborhood. This creates a dangerous precedent for other neighborhoods within the city. So if historical neighborhoods in the city have to accommodate or create sidewalks for accessibility, then there are several other neighborhoods that will also have to follow suit. And I don't believe those homeowners have asked for the same projects, right? This is not something that is being requested, so where is the motivation coming from that makes this a #1 priority for the city council? I documented over 15 instances, I only included 7, 15 instances of both modern and recent construction projects that have failed to meet the standard of safety, creating more than a 3-inch step in between panels of the sidewalk. Those are the things that need to get addressed more than creating a project that wasn't requested. There's lack of justification or any supporting data for this. Has there been a study? We've already addressed the fact that none of the residents have been contacted about this project. So it looks really heavy-handed coming from a city council who doesn't communicate with their constituents about a project that wasn't requested. The financial burden obviously is incredibly high, and we've already talked about that. This project goes against the Oxford Codified Ordinances of Landscaping and Tree Preservation, as well as the tree preservation requirement mandates that this council has passed to remove the 600-year-old trees plus the 4 additional trees to make room for this project. Additionally, it chokes the front of the neighborhood. We will have to relocate all the underground utilities that are at the front of the neighborhood to make space. And the installation of a sidewalk was just legally challenged in the state of Ohio last year, where repairs are a resident's responsibility, or can be, but the installation of a new sidewalk is not. So this also puts it in the face of legal challenges that will come further down the road. So in the end, I ask this city council to listen to your residents, to make fiduciary decisions that make sense, and to table this project or identify a clear reason that it needs to be completed. Until that happens, please postpone this project or repair the sidewalks that you're already signed up for and haven't been. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chip Murray. I live at 113 Country Club. I'm going to go on the same topic these others have just talked about. Sidewalks are great. I'm not going to argue that it's nice and easy to walk on a sidewalk. And there might be some people that are like, oh, this would be more comfortable to walk on this sidewalk. But without the trees along Old Farm that come in, it's not worth it, right? That the gains that you get from minor safety that me and my neighbors would say is not needed right now, and convenience of walking on a sidewalk versus the street. But to lose those trees would be tragic. And then to the costs and the liabilities and the rest of it on the homeowners, ask this neighborhood, ask our neighbors if we want that. If there's a whole bunch of my neighbors lining up saying that we want sidewalks, I could possibly get on board eventually. But I really do not want them. At the very least, if you're looking, we want sidewalks for some sort of recreational place to walk, to just go out and enjoy it. Wait till the bike path is finished coming around wherever it ends up. Figure out other ways that we can get outdoors and we can walk there. We don't need sidewalks, and we certainly don't need to take out those trees that we've got up there right now. The value of a tree out in front of your yard, especially those big maples, right, is thousands of dollars. So some will argue that when you put in sidewalks, your property values go up a bit because that's, more infrastructure for it at all. But asking these homeowners to also lose all those trees is not going to balance out. It is not worthwhile. And if the city of Oxford fixes all of the other problems in the city that could use $160,000 and then wants to have this conversation, we can do that down the road. But let's use that money elsewhere, anywhere else than our sidewalks. We don't need them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Tommy, and I live at 2198 Mormon Road. Good evening, members of council. My name is Lindsay Tommy, and I'm here tonight to speak about the Oxford Area Trail System, specifically asking the city of Oxford to incorporate the plowing of these paths into its winter maintenance schedule. I want to start by acknowledging the immense effort and resources the city has put into paving and developing the Oates Trail. It is, without question, a premier regional destination. During the summer, the maintenance is impeccable. even blowing the leaves off the path in the fall. The city has clearly prioritized making these trails a centerpiece of Oxford life, and we are grateful for that. We respectfully request that a comparable standard of upkeep be applied during the winter months, so that the park's aesthetic and functional value remain accessible during snow and ice. Year-round access to these paths would significantly benefit residents, including families with young children, older adults, individuals with disabilities, runners, and people exercising their pets. We are currently at the 1 month mark where these paved paths have been difficult to use due to the snow and ice. When the trails aren't cleared, the multi-use nature of the path vanishes. By extending maintenance services throughout the winter months, residents will benefit from a safe access to outdoor spaces, supporting year-round active living. This initiative represents practical community-oriented approach that enhances the functionality of public areas all season. I am clearly not alone in this concern. Last week, I started a petition to address this gap. In the 1 week that this petition has been active, it has gained over 200 signatures, 7 pages of names. These are 200 residents asking the city to protect the accessibility of the paths they love. To understand the feasibility of this, I reached out to Kate McConnell, the Senior Parks Manager of Great Parks. We discussed Miami Whitewater specifically. Currently, the closest plowed path where it is safe to walk when Oates is covered in snow and ice. She shared that their 8-mile outer loop takes between 3 to 6 hours to plow. Given that our Oates path is approximately 3.5 miles long, I estimate that plowing the path would take about 2 hours. Oxford typically only sees significant snowfall about 3 times per year. We are essentially talking about 6 hours of labor per year to keep this multi-million-dollar investment open and safe for the public. This issue is so vital to our community's health that several residents, including myself, have even offered to plow the path ourselves just to ensure the job gets done. However, we would much prefer to see the city find a formal framework to include Oates in the official winter maintenance schedule. We have built a world-class trail system that's make sure it is usable all year round, that's worked together to ensure that every resident, whether they're pushing a stroller, a wheelchair, or training for a 5K, can use these trails in all 4 seasons. I also have copies of my speech along with my contact information for the members of the council if you would like it, because I would love to continue this conversation and help to be a solution in this issue.
You can give those to the clerk, thanks. All right. Anyone else wish to address council on items not on the agenda tonight? All right. I would just like to say, for those of you addressing the sidewalk issue, we will be having a work session on March 3rd to continue to discuss the sidewalk issue. And since most of you don't understand why this started, this came about because one of your neighbors, who is visually impaired, cannot leave the neighborhood without walking with his guide dog in the street. That is why we initiated this project. Even though it's not a project yet, we have not funded it, we are simply looking at what the implications would be, and that's why we're having these discussions. So if you would like to come on the 3rd, we will continue the discussion. All right. We will move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Or may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Councilor Franklin. Are there any items to be removed tonight?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. All right, we will move on to resolutions. Ms. Barber, you may read the first resolution when you're ready.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Oxford, Ohio, accepting the 2026 action items toward the comprehensive plan as Exhibit A and accepting the 2027 research items as Exhibit B.
Move adoption.
Second.
Move adoption by Councilor Snavely, second by Vice Mayor French. Ms. Green?
Good evening, councilors, Mr. Mayor. On Friday, January 30th, council members and department heads had a retreat to discuss progress toward our comprehensive plan. Department heads shared their reports to council, and then council reviewed our proposed action items for 2026, and then we brainstormed ideas for research for 2027. Enclosed in this legislation is the Exhibit A, are the final 2026 action items toward the comprehensive plan, and I'll report back to you on those throughout the year. A few of these items I want to just draw attention to were either removed or paused as a result of the retreat. Action items that were paused include recycling mandates for apartment complexes and the use of dumpsters instead of toters for buildings with 7+ units, as these programs will require a complete chapter rewrite for our codified ordinances, and so we decided to wait for other projects to be completed first. The other one that will be paused is alleyway improvements. These need to wait until the waste management piece is figured out before other improvements can be discussed. And finally, stormwater research is paused to allow the service department to finish some current major projects before turning their attention to reviewing our stormwater runoff and the impact on the water treatment plant. Action items that were cut from the original proposed 2026 items include a $20,000 investment in a better metrics dashboard and a proposed $20,000 investment in a community survey for budgeting process. Action items that were added after the retreat, we neglected to add that we are going to have fire labor union contract negotiations, and those will be a time-consuming project, so we've added those in. And then looking ahead to 2027, the research items are listed in Exhibit B, and these are ideas that council would like staff and boards and commissions to research and provide suggestions on the impact of implementation at a June 26 work session to provide input for the fiscal impact as you prepare for the 2027 budget. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this resolution before council? All right, seeing none. Council questions and discussion?
I have a question. On page 107 of the action items for 2026, under the dark sky standards for the city, thank you for adding that in there. I was just wondering about its inclusion possibly as a rollover into 2027? Or are we just going to research now, make some determination, and then possibly by June? Okay.
The second, yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, that resolution is adopted. We will move to the next resolution. Ms. Barber, you can read it whenever you're ready.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an amended and reinstated lease agreement with, as described in Exhibit A, between the City of Oxford, Ohio, and CSX Transportation Incorporated.
Move adoption.
Second.
All right, adoption by Mr. Snavely, second by Councilor Franklin. Ms. Green?
Good evening again. This Amtrak project has a lot of partners. So, the Amtrak project is being built with a grant through the OKI Surface Transportation Block Grant, and these funds come from the Federal Highway Administration and are administered through the Ohio Department of Transportation. We recently submitted our lease agreement with CSX from December 2025 to ODOT and the Federal Highway Administration. Upon review, the Federal Highway Administration asked for clarification about the platform use for Amtrak. With their feedback, we worked closely with Amtrak and CSX to develop clarifying language in this now amended lease. The clarifying language, we did find a slight typo in the acreage, so we fixed that. It is 4.95 acres, not 4.2. We clarify our permitted use in platform ownership. We clarified that Amtrak is allowed to use the platform. We extended the lease term to 40 years, and then thereafter, after those 40 years, a year-by-year basis after that. CSX may terminate, but we did extend it to 180 days notice. And we just clarified the permission to have a sublease with Amtrak for the operation of this platform. With those changes, we'll be able to resubmit our lease to the Federal Highway Administration and move this project along. Happy to answer any questions.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this resolution before council? All right, seeing none, council questions and discussion? That was a lot. I really appreciate the fine-tooth comb nature of that review.
I'm grateful for the fast response from both Amtrak and CSX, because I was a little worried, but they were very prompt in their response, and I'm grateful.
I'm not familiar with the history of the negotiations that went on here, but I assume that there had been multiple back and forths on this for years. I mean,
For
this
years.
is the first
Yeah.
draft I've seen, and was the railroad open to like revisions, or was it basically a one-sided deal, like you take it or leave it?
They were open to these revisions that were recommended by the Federal Highway Administration.
Okay.
We had very little to effort. We, the city of Oxford, had very little negotiation power, but the help with the Federal Highway Administration was able to clarify some of the terms that they wanted to see.
Okay.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that resolution is adopted. Ms. Barber, you may read the third resolution.
A resolution accepting the proposal and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Pros Consulting Incorporated for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and conceptual feasibility analysis for the Tri-Community Center and the Tri-Community Center site.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Councilor Franklin, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. We advertised the request for proposals back in November 2025 for a Parks Master Plan and feasibility study of the Tri. We received 5 proposals from 5 different firms by the deadline of January 15th, and a selection committee made up of city staff and members of the Tri Board reviewed those proposals, and we actually selected 3 that we had as our top 3, and they each provided a follow-up presentation interview. And after that process, we recommended we move forward with a contract for Pros Consulting. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, let me see, is there anyone from the public who would like to address this resolution before council? All right, seeing none, council questions?
This is really exciting. Congratulations, Chad.
Thank you, thank you.
Glad to see it moving forward.
Been waiting for this a long time.
Yeah, long time coming. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. All right, Ms. Barber, you may read the next resolution.
A resolution accepting the bid and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Alpha Construction Indiana Incorporated for the installation of equipment and materials to remove phosphorus from the city's wastewater treatment plant effluent as required by the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency at a cost of $599,950 plus a 10% contingency in the amount of $59,995 for a total cost not to exceed $659,945.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Councilor Franklin, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Dreisbach.
Good evening, Your Honor, councilors. Our wastewater treatment plant is regulated by the Ohio EPA. They do that through a NPDES permit that regulates discharge to 4 Mile Creek. It stands for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. Our current levels of phosphorus coming into the plant are about 5 milligrams per liter. The agency wants to limit us to 1 milligram per liter of our discharge going to 4 Mile Creek. So we can naturally, through our biological processes at the plant, get the limit to about 2.5 milligrams per liter. To reach the 1 milligram per liter, we will have to introduce a chemical into the waste stream, precipitate out the phosphorus, and have it become part of our biosolids. It will then be land applied as a fertilizer to farm fields in Butler County. The city worked with Fishbeck engineers to design the system that we need. We developed specifications and advertised for bids. Unfortunately, we only received 1 bid in this instance. Typically, that would concern us. We contacted companies we've worked with in the past to see why they did not bid, and they're all just extraordinarily busy right now, and they did not want to interrupt what they were doing for, in their world, a relatively small project for $500,000. So we have one bidder. We've not worked with them in the past, but we've checked their references. They've worked at Miami University, they've worked at the city of Fairfield, and all had good recommendations for them. So we recommend approval of the project, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this resolution before council? All right, seeing none, council discussion, questions? Mr. Finch?
Is the city currently in compliance with its phosphorus limit and its NPDES permit, or has that limit not gone into effect yet?
We are in compliance. The new deadline won't take effect until early 2027. So we'll get the work done this construction season, fine-tune the process, and we will be in compliance.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that was going to be my question about timeline, so you answered that, so. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that resolution is adopted. Ms. Barber, you may read the next resolution whenever you're ready.
A resolution authorizing a payment of $111,096.73 to the Conservation Fund in conjunction with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Ohio Department of Transportation, and the construction of the Oxford Area Trail System.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Councilor Franklin. Mr. Dreisbach, turn it back over to you.
The good news is Jessica Green and Scott Otto have brought in millions and millions of dollars to help build the Oaks Trail. The bad news is that it's federal money and it comes with federal strings. One of the strings that comes with that is if we impact endangered species habitat, we have to mitigate our impacts on the local environment. So that's what this is about. We're impacting about 8 acres of wooded habitat for the Indiana bat and the long-nosed bat. So we have methods of conservation where we try not to impact their habitat during their roosting months. And we also have mitigation where we destroy their habitat and we purchase new habitat that will be federally protected. So this payment will be made to buy new acreage in lieu of the damage that we've caused to build the Oaks Trail here. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this resolution before council? All right, seeing none, I think there are some questions from council.
Yes. I was not aware, I think you saw in my email earlier today about requesting a description of the action on the Ohio programmatic biological opinion on this. And thank you, Jessica, for sending those 2 links. I'm just a little reluctant to vote on this personally because I am aware of the stress already placed on the Indiana bat and the northern long-eared bat, including another one that's not described here, the multicolored bat. And I personally would like to put boots on the ground and go out there and take a look at this area specifically, or possibly read the environmental impact statement that was done in response to the endangered species, just so that I have a little more information on the mitigation plan. And I'm particularly concerned with the long-eared northern bat in that it has suffered approximately a 90% decrease in population in recent years. And so it not only is endangered, it's in sensitive habitat, extremely sensitive. And so if we could possibly have a delay on this, I'd like to see the EIS. I'd like to see the description of the action and go there myself. I'm not saying you all have to go with me, but I would like to see that I've actually worked on an environmental impact statement in the past for an endangered species. So I'm curious to see where exactly this is and what kind of impact it's going to have. And maybe sit down with you and talk a little more about the mitigation plan.
Well, you're welcome to tour the construction site, but the Department of the Interior has already approved the project, approved
Right.
our permit,
Right.
and the trees have already been removed. Construction is probably 60% complete at this point.
Okay.
The abutments for the bridge going over the railroad are 3/4 complete, and we expect delivery of the prefabricated steel bridge in March. So the project is on budget and way ahead of schedule. Unfortunately, to meet design standards for ADA and other rules, it was inevitable to have to lose some habitat. It's just impossible not to get the slopes that were required by ADA. So that work's been done. The Department of the Interior has approved the project with the stipulation that we mitigate the harm that we've done by purchasing new habitat that will be federally protected.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering,
So
which
we will be buying,
mitigation?
through this nonprofit agency, the city is buying 5 acres of protected habitat that will never be impacted.
Okay, so that is near this particular colony, these colonies that were removed? Or where?
Not this, I can't say which colonies. The federal government decided the amount of money that would be required and the amount of land that will be protected. We damaged X, and we're providing Y dollars to mitigate that.
Okay, my concern is like where exactly is the mitigated land? You know,
It would be for the same habitat of the protected species involved. I just can't tell you which 5 acres we're buying, but it will be for the Indiana bat and longos bat.
So the habitat has already been taken? So
Yes, the
those,
trees have already been cut
so the
down.
colonies are already gone?
I don't know if they're gone, the trees are not there.
Okay.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
No, that does not
Okay,
mean the
well,
colonies were
There's-
Yeah, well, I'm
affected.
just,
There's bats
yeah, I'm
throughout
just
the works.
wondering where the mitigation site is in terms of the land, and that's why I was wondering about the description of action and the plan that was actually
So the construction site's going over probably 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
We had an impact on 7.9. We've tried to be as sensitive as possible
Yes.
with our design and still achieve the result of a loop that goes around the city.
I
So-
understand that. And, you know, having come in basically in November, I probably missed a little bit of that if it were in the news in the past couple of years. But I see and understand the need for the conservation fund to purchase those lands and any other type of mitigation that needs to take place. But I was curious about those other things.
This is new for us. To my knowledge, this is the first time we've ever paid a fee in lieu of reclamation or other mediation.
Yeah, so I have some experience dealing with the Endangered Species Act in my practice. So there are various ways you can mitigate for habitat loss under the Endangered Species Act. One way would be to actually go and have the city purchase substitute property and put a permanent easement on it to protect it forever. The other way is to provide what we did here is called an in lieu fee. You're basically paying a fee to a conservation organization, and then you're trusting that the conservation organization is going to do the right thing with the money. They're going to take the money and they're going to invest it into land that is habitat for the long-eared bat and for the Indiana bat. And so federal law allows that the in lieu fee to be used as a mitigation technique instead of actually purchasing the land, the city purchasing the land itself and setting up its own sort of habitat protection area. It's just sort of for administrative convenience, but it works very well.
So again, and this was not a choice offered to the city.
Right.
We were told by the Department of the Interior and by ODOT, who
So they told you to
transmitted
pay an
the
in lieu
funds to
fee?
us, who the recipient would be, and they will assure that
Okay.
the stated purpose is met.
Though this does mean we have this habitat there, so the city, outside of this action, should look to protect that on our own otherwise, but
We still
not
have
for
lots
tonight.
of trees. There's a blue heron rookery on 4 Mile Creek. There's bald eagles. There's tons of birds and bats around still through the valley.
Fantastic.
Question.
Yeah, those old trees.
All right.
I've seen that list.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Dreisbach. We will move on to ordinances. Ms. Barber, you may read the first reading.
An ordinance accepting the annexation petition from Miami University for 157.217 acres of land in the township of Oxford, Butler County, Ohio, and accepting said territory to be annexed.
All right, I'll turn that over to Mr. Elliott.
Thank you. So Miami University submitted an annexation petition to the Butler County Commissioners to annex 157.217 acres of land, which is the remaining portion of the Miami University Airport outside the city's corporate boundaries. City manager served as the statutory agent for the petitioner. The petition utilized expedited Type 2 annexation process. As you know, the airport is owned by Miami University and managed by Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky International Airport. The airport is uniquely positioned to become a hub for innovation and advanced air mobility, as outlined in the city's Economic Development Strategic Plan. The annexation of this land to the city will enable infrastructure extensions and upgrades, plus grant opportunities for development. The Butler County Commissioners approved this annexation in December. The city was required to wait 60 days before accepting this annexation. So you have on the agenda tonight for a first reading to accept this annexation, and I would recommend passage after our next meeting, which would provide the 2 readings. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
All right, let me see if there's anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance before council. All right, seeing none. Council questions or discussion?
I'm curious, has the township trustee been brought into this discussion? I don't see anything here about that.
They get notified, and typically they don't object. The expedited Type 2, basically, if the city follows the statutory process, there's really no opportunity for them to object because we have to have 100% of the property owners. So the advantage for the township is that they continue to receive property taxes on any land that we annex under expedited Type 2. But of course, this land is property tax exempt, so it's not an issue at all. And so they do receive notice, and they can decide to pass a resolution to accept it. I'm not sure that they did that, but once again, if we follow the process, county commissioners have to approve it. And once again, this expedited Type 2, unlike some of the other processes, enable the township to continue receiving property taxes on property that's not tax exempt.
Anybody else? No, go ahead.
So have residents surrounding this area been notified of
Yes,
this?
they get notified too. That's part of the process. We have to notify the abutters, and so they received a letter, the annexation petition, and of course received my phone number and address if they had any questions. We received none.
Good question.
Yeah, I think the township is aware, so.
Yes.
All right, we will see that again at our first meeting in March. We'll move on to the next first reading. Ms. Barber, you may read it whenever you're ready.
An ordinance approving a 6-month extension of the approved Clarence Place final subdivision plat and 1-year extension of the Clarence Place final planned development located on 3.464 acres at 601 through 607 West Chestnut Street, Oxford, Ohio.
All right, I'll turn that over to Mr. Perry.
Good evening, council members. No changes on the previous approvals, just simply the time's running out. They are ready to move forward. I know the sign's been up there on Chestnut Street for many months, and people are probably wondering what's going on, but they did have to do some changes to the plans. But the previous approval that council had given a year ago is expiring, and so they need an extension in order to finish the project and get going here later this year.
All right, fantastic. Let me see if there's anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance before council. All right, seeing none. Council questions, discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say that I hope council will approve this ordinance. This Habitat project directly supports one of our major goals of this council. I think it's a really good project. It has received a lot of support at OSH and other places where people are concerned about affordable housing, and I think this is a landmark for us to be able to take care of.
It's fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that I don't know how many people they've got lined up, but obviously I think I heard 10. They're ready to go on 10 townhouses to start with, so.
That's great.
Really great. All right, we'll see this again, the first meeting in March. All right, Ms. Barber, you may read the next ordinance.
An ordinance repealing the Oxford Codified Ordinance Chapter 137 entitled Housing Advisory Commission and adopting new Oxford Codified Ordinance Chapter 137 entitled Housing Advisory Commission.
All right, Mrs. Green.
Sorry, slight Wi-Fi challenge. Okay. In October 2025, City Council filled a vacancy on the Housing Advisory Commission, bringing the total to 9 members, which is the membership cap under the current ordinance. In January 2026, the Planning Commission appointed a new member to serve on the Housing Advisory Commission. A Planning Commission representative is also required under the current HAC ordinance. This created a conflict. The HAC decided to review its ordinance and propose recommendations. There were 2 meetings in which this ordinance was discussed, and the summary of the modifications of the ordinance are as follows. They propose 1 city councilor and 1 planning commission member who may or may not be a councilor. Then 5 total members who reside within the city of Oxford, and up to 4 members who have relevant housing experience, whether it's housing nonprofit, legal, developer, builder, advocate, etc. And they ask that they all reside within the Talamondo School District. They also wanted to add that any member who misses 3 consecutive meetings without an excuse will be removed from the commission, resulting in a vacancy that will be posted. This ordinance also removes language referring to specific housing nonprofits and instead broadens the language to all nonprofits that advocate for housing. And it ties some of the tasks of the commission to be in alignment with the housing chapter of the 2023 Comprehensive Plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, let me see if there's anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance before council. All right, seeing none, council questions and discussion?
I think it's good to be nimble and to adjust as needed, to update ordinances for various commissions, so.
I think it's important that the HAC's already looked at this and approved it.
Yeah. I'd like that it came from within the HAC,
Yeah.
so.
I do
that's
have
good.
one quick question. I also love this. My only concern was the 3 absences. How frequently does that happen? Just because we have such a hard time filling boards and commissions, I don't want to create vacancies.
Not often, honestly,
Okay.
because we said without an excuse, you know,
Right.
so as long as you email or say, hey, I have this going on, of course, right, life happens. But we have had an incident where we've had an appointee, like, no communication, nothing, and so we want to have the ability to then fill that seat if possible.
Gotcha, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see this one again in March.
We should do that for more commissions, I think.
We should. We will move on to second readings. Ms. Barber, you may read the first, second reading.
An ordinance establishing a mayor's court and establishing Chapter 172 of the Oxford Codified Ordinances.
Move adoption.
Second.
Adoption by Mr. Savely, second by Vice Mayor French. And I'll go back to Mr. Elliott.
Well, let me just go through a few things. We had a work session earlier and provided a lot of information to City Council. But as you know, the Butler County Commissioners approved a resolution in January to relocate the Area 1 Court to Hamilton effective April 1st, 2026. The centralization move will create travel burdens for residents currently served by the Area 1 Court in Oxford. So I'm recommending the creation of a mayor's court with an appointed magistrate to handle the court docket. The mayor's court will handle misdemeanor offenses, traffic cases, and other municipal ordinance violations occurring in the city of Oxford only. Currently, Area 1 Court serves the city of Oxford plus 6 townships. So the city will have the added expense of at least 3 positions, a magistrate, clerk, and prosecutor. The cost of these positions will be offset somewhat by the revenue from the fines and fees charged. Also, the city will provide and manage a local diversion program. And according to the Ohio Supreme Court structure of the Ohio judicial system, there are currently 275 mayor's courts in the state of Ohio. So on the legislative agenda tonight is this ordinance for second reading to establish a mayor's court in Oxford. The ordinance will create the positions of magistrate, clerk of court, and prosecutor. The magistrate will be appointed by the mayor with the consent of council. The clerk of court and prosecutor will be appointed by the city manager. The magistrate and prosecutor positions will be part-time and contract employees. The clerk of court will be a full-time position with the city of Oxford. I expect that the mayor's court will meet twice a month, and so later we'll have some other things that need to be done by city council so that we can implement this. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that city council has.
All right, let me see if there's anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance before council. All right, seeing none. Council questions and discussion?
Can I ask a potentially silly question? Does it make sense to table this until after the work session? I mean, I get a sense of counsel from that.
We've had the work session.
Oh, we had.
This is one that
that's
we
right.
just
We did
had
have the
today.
work session. Sorry, I got the March 3rd work session. about
Okay.
the
Yeah, you
sidewalk.
kinda
So I
threw me
went,
for a loop
Never
there.
mind.
It happened.
It's been a long
covered
day.
a lot today.
It's 8:30.
It's okay.
Retracted. I was just testing you. There is such a thing as a silly question. Turns out.
Good test.
Hey, never mind.
So I do have a question. We were, after our work session earlier today, hey, we were saying that it is going to take time to get this up and running. In the interim, in the intervening time, we may get a sense for how it is working because people will have to go to Hamilton until we get the mayor's court up and running. What benchmarks could we think of to decide, like, actually, this is okay, and maybe we don't need to establish a mayor's court? And then I guess if we decided that, we would have to repeal this ordinance, right? But, I mean, I'm just in conversation, like, how long do you think it would take for us to get a sense of the rhythm and the benefits before we decide, let's still go forward and actually establish the mayor's court?
You know, that's a good question. I think we're going to experience it because, you know, one of the comments was made, could we do this mayor's court after the semester ends? Well, if they're true to their schedule, it's going to happen at the end of March. So you're going to have April and 2 weeks in May where they're going to experience going over to Hamilton. It's up to council. Once again, I think this is the best course of action for economics, convenience, and that's why I'm recommending it. But, if council, I could set a certain date. It probably won't be in effect until, beginning of the next year's semester, next year's
September.
school year for Miami students. So that would give us quite a few months to experience it. And, and even though we have it on the books, doesn't mean we have to have it.
Yes,
I
right.
don't-
I was going to add that I believe the city attorney answered this question at the last meeting, that simply because we passed this statute doesn't require us to have a mayor's court, and simply gives us the legal authorization to form one. And so, we're always going to have the statute on the books, and we can, if we change our mind later, we can do that without necessarily repealing the statute, I think.
Yeah.
It just gives us the authority to
agree.
form a mayor's court.
I agree.
That's right.
And then I think it just becomes a pragmatic issue of whether that is preferable, whether to have to repeal it or to wait to implement it. I don't know where to go with this, but I would love a little more time to hear from it, but I don't mind repealing it as long as we get that information to inform us. So I don't know what that means for the next step now.
I think it means we vote for this and get it on the books so that it's available to us, and then we follow the city manager's suggestion.
I mean, my understanding here is that council is going to retain oversight over this entire process, right? We have to appoint every 4, I think it's every 4 years, a new magistrate, hire a new magistrate. Periodically, we have to hire a new magistrate. And so we will have time to look and see how this works as it goes. So we're not committed forever to have a mayor's court here forever.
That's right, we can end it whenever we want.
Well, I mean, council can end it by not funding it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Got a quarter.
Yeah, there's a couple of our heads nodding.
All right, I will have Ms. Barber call the roll.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Ms. Ornelas?
Yes.
Mr. Snavely?
Yes.
Mr. Vinch?
Yes.
Mr. Bracken?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. All right, that ordinance is adopted. Ms. Barber, you may read the next second reading whenever you're ready.
An ordinance accepting the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve a preliminary subdivision, preliminary and final plan development, waivers and conditions for the New Roots 16-unit micro-home community to be located on 2.19 acres of land at 5234 Hester Road.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor French, second by Mr. Snavely. Mr. Perry?
Hello again. No changes from the first reading. So 2 members of the development team are here tonight if there's any final questions before voting. This is the 16-unit micro-home community on Hester Road that we've talked about many times over the past few months.
All right, let me see if there is anyone from the public who would like to address this ordinance before council.
My name is Ann Bailey, and I am totally in support of this personally, but a whole bunch of other people are as well. I live at 192 Stone Creek Drive here in Oxford, Ohio. I'm pleased to be back here at this meeting. I had nothing else going on tonight, so it's been an absolute pleasure. I am a board member of Oxford OSH, Oxford Area Solutions for Housing, and also am a member of the Housing Advisory Commission, chaired by Jessica, which meets on a regular basis here for the city. At a recent board meeting, which was last Friday, the board members drafted an advocacy statement for the ordinance that was approved at its first reading. And we then decided we would present it at our monthly meeting, which was last evening, our February meeting, to those who were in attendance. And so we presented it. The group that was present voted unanimously to present this to all of you this evening as our advocacy for the first reading of the ordinance and in support of it. So I will read you what we proposed and what was approved. This was at our last evening meeting. The mission of OSH, Oxford Area Solutions for Housing, is to respond to and prevent homelessness. Increasing the stock of affordable housing is essential to achieving this mission. The New Roots development targets income-qualifying home owners. Consistent with the city's priority of housing for all, at least 4 of these micro homes are identified specifically for individuals or families with intellectual or developmental disabilities, known as IDD. The development team has indicated there is a severe shortage in Ohio for the IDD market. I see this as really kind of a pilot thing that our city and our state could use as a demonstration project. As an advocacy group, OSH believes it is important for interested members of the public to voice support for initiatives that further our mission and vision. We applaud the flexibility of the city in pivoting away from an earlier approved development. I know this was tricky. An earlier approved development. The use of efficiency in decision-making to facilitate the use of ARPA funds for infrastructure cost, and a recognition that design for accessibility may benefit from the use of waivers and conditions in approving development plans. Ultimately, we also acknowledge the vision, initiative, and commitment of Emily and Mark Kendall, and inclusive housing resources and Empower Me Living.
Thank you, Ann.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jennifer Heston Mullins, and I live at 137 Kelly Drive in Oxford. I'm an Oxford citizen, a social worker who's worked with older adults and their families for almost 30 years, a gerontologist who studies aging, and a volunteer with Age Friendly Oxford and Oxford Area Solutions for Housing, which, as you know, both have a focus on housing as well in our work. I'd like to commend the Planning Commission for its recommendation to approve the New Roots development and its acknowledgement of the need for more affordable housing options in our community. I'm particularly glad that the New Roots development has earmarked homes for individuals and families living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Improvements in health care and decline in institutionalization have increased the life expectancy of most people living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. This went up from about 22 years in 1931 to almost 70 years now. There are more people living with intellectual and developmental disability, including Down syndrome, than before, and individuals aging with intellectual and developmental disabilities are living longer and often outliving family members who have provided care and support. So having developments like New Roots in our community can help these individuals stay independent and stay in community. I encourage the Planning Commission and the Council to continue to pursue affordable housing in Oxford. Lack of affordable housing has serious impacts on older adults living on fixed income, and research indicates that this is a real growing issue. About 20%, 1 out of 5, of those experiencing homelessness that were identified in the 2024 National Point in Time count were ages 55 and older. And it's been noted that the fastest group of those experiencing homelessness is individuals over the age of 55, many of whom are experiencing homelessness for the first time in their lives. So I thank you for your efforts to make our community a livable community for people of all ages and abilities. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There's no one else. Council comments and discussion?
I'd like to thank both of our speakers. They both did a great job. And I think that this is, again, just to echo my previous comments, this supports our very important goal, and it's something we've worked for a long time, and we're finally going to make it happen, and I hope that we do.
I'm going to say it's fantastic again. It's slightly different, but same goals.
Second.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Ms. Barber, you may call the roll.
Ms. Ornelas?
Yes.
Mr. Snavely?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Vinch?
Yes.
Mr. Bracken?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. French?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. All right, that's adopted. We will now move on to announcements and communications, and I'll go over to Mr. Elliott.
Thank you. Just a couple of things this evening. The city made application to the Ohio Emergency Management Agency for public assistance regarding the January 24th, 27 record and near record snowfall that we had here. The application was for $124,500, and so we'll keep you posted if we receive anything on that. I also wanted to share with you that the city received a letter from Richard Perkins, who's the Chief Financial Officer for Glenwood Energy. Glenwood Energy, of course, is requesting an update to ordinance number 3689, which was adopted by City Council on September 6, 2022. That ordinance regulates the rates and charges for Glenwood Energy gas customers within the corporate limits of the city of Oxford. Glenwood Energy was seeking to increase the monthly meter charge for residential and commercial customers. And so Mike and I reviewed that. We reached a tentative agreement with Glenwood Energy for a new rate ordinance, and I drafted an ordinance and forwarded it to Glenwood Energy for their review. Once both parties agree on the draft ordinance, I will present it to City Council for consideration. That's all I have this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dreisbach?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Chief Jones? Ms. Ridenhour?
I just have one thing. Good evening. I'm happy to announce that I received notification today that the City of Oxford Finance Department was awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award for the 2024 ACFR, and this is the 41st year in a row that we have received this award.
Yay, fantastic.
Congratulations.
Chief Dethridge? All right. Mr. Smith?
Just very quickly, thought I'd use the opportunity and the platform and the audience here tonight to remind everyone that the Oxford Parks and Rec Department is posting seasonal positions, and we hope to fill about 60 of those. That's lifeguards and camp staff and concession workers, so thought I would spread the word for any high school, college students out there looking for good summer jobs. It's a great opportunity. We'd love to have you apply at the City of Oxford website. I can say, you know, it is often. Alexa will be sending you notifications. Yeah. Right. So because of the orator, I guess. But yes, I would just like to throw it out there, and summer jobs can lead to careers, you know. I can speak to that. So hopefully we get some good applicants. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Perry? Mrs. Green?
Good evening. I just want to echo what Tyreek mentioned earlier with the our town and gown meetings. You know, we closed our SCRC and we wondered what would be next. And I just want to report that what's been next so far has been great. We have been meeting once a month with the ASG students elected from the student body, the president of the IFC, the director of community standards from Miami, and the assistant VP of student life. And in those conversations, we're talking about all kinds of things. But what I really love is that the students are bringing forward ideas, namely this re-implementing the good neighbor with be smart, be safe, and stay off the radar. And, you know, they're self-communicating, they're self-promoting some of these practices, and I think this is just a really good example of student leadership. They're also bringing forward ideas for improvements such as lighting and sidewalk improvements, and it's just been really healthy and good conversation. So I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's working and working well, and we intend to kind of keep bringing these updates to you. And then lastly, we had a comment about the Oxford Area Trail and its maintenance. And I just want to remind everyone how the trail is funded. It's funded through grants and then a property tax within the city of Oxford. And we currently, Heidi can tell you, it is stretched very thin. Like we have pulled every penny out of it to construct this next phase. But it's also funded by donations to the Oxford Area Trail Fund at the Oxford Community Foundation. And I would encourage anyone who's a trail user, especially those who don't live within city limits and maybe don't pay property tax, consider a regular and routine donation to the Oxford Area Trail Fund, as it does go toward maintenance and improvements and those public restrooms that you see. That's how we use those funds. So you can set up an ongoing donation. I know I do. And that's just another way that we can support our trails. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Barber?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Snavely?
I would just like to congratulate the Miami University men's basketball team, who this evening are on their way to a 26th win. They are leading 76-70 with 5 minutes left, so we'll see.
Awesome. I'm going to take my city councilman's hat off and sort of speak as a private citizen and an attorney about the municipal court. I just want to reiterate that, I'm sorry, the mayor's court. I want to reiterate that I wholeheartedly support the creation of a mayor's court here. I did sense, though, from some on council and probably some in the community that there is some hesitation about, you know, setting off in this new direction. There has been plenty of criticism of mayor's courts, all the way from the Supreme Court of the United States to the ACLU and other legal organizations, because mayor's courts are only allowed in 2 states, the state of Ohio and the state of Louisiana. Some mayor's courts essentially abuse the system. They use it as a money-making enterprise. They use it as a revenue-generated enterprise, right? It's easy to run cases through mayor's court, stack up huge fees, and then punish people that are unable to pay the fees. There's all kinds of social equity issues about assessing fees against people who can't afford to pay it, and then what the consequences of that are. So under normal circumstances, I would raise more concerns about the formation of a mayor's court, but I fully trust that in the city of Oxford, that the mayor's court is not going to be operated that way. And the reason, which gives me the utmost confidence that it's going to be handled correctly, is that city council is going to maintain oversight over this mayor's court, right? So we're going to see what happens with it over time. We're going to make sure that it's not used as a form to generate revenue. I mean, if we need revenue, then we should go to the taxpayers, and we should ask the taxpayers to equally share in the revenue generation. We shouldn't force people that are of lesser means to pay fines to make up our shortage in revenue. So I'm confident that the city council will retain oversight over the mayor's court and that it will be successful in the long term. But if anyone has any questions about it, feel free to contact me and talk to me about it.
A couple of things for me tonight. I would also extend my congratulations to Miami men's basketball pending. I don't want to jinx
Don't jinx
anything. I was very afraid that I would be a jinx when I went to the game on Friday. Fortunately, I was not. But I will say I did notice a massive multi-agency coordination in public safety. I saw OPD officers there, Hamilton officers, township officers. It was massive, and it felt like a really safe event, and the governor was there. So if just having Millett Hall be packed with rowdy rivalry students wasn't enough, you also have to worry about the public safety. Not only were the mayor and vice mayor there, which is really the most important part, but also the governor of the state was there, which is really impressive. So kudos to both chiefs. Lieutenant Robinson, I saw you there, great work, and the staff involved there. It's also great to just see so much team spirit. I've said it before, I'll say it again. As an alumni, I don't know what to do with my hands with our teams being so good. This hasn't happened since right after I graduated with hockey. So just seeing the students really out there and caring about the community was fantastic. We are also getting planning underway, speaking of community spirit, for the Bee Festival, which will take place on April 18th. We also have the Oats and Honey 5K, 10K that we are underway for planning as well. And then speaking of the trails, I did see the change.org petition, and I thank you for bringing that concern forward. I did run this weekend, and I made it not very far on the trails before I was like, nope, can't do it. And I understand the concern, right? Like, I think I then ended up hitting every single hill in town because I couldn't go on the trails. And, you know, I just encourage folks, as you have questions, reach out to our city staff. Most department heads' contact is available on the website. And I think for me, it comes down to stewardship of the public funds and the way that we maintain the trails, stewardship of staff time, and then stewardship of the trail systems themselves. I don't claim to be an expert in trail maintenance, but there are lots of pros and cons that come with plowing and salting natural trails in the winter. So I don't want to give the hard and fast reasons of why we are and aren't doing that, but I do trust Chad Smith, our Parks and Rec director, and would encourage you to reach out to him with any questions or more information you might have. And I think only half jokingly, I think I've said that if we did plow the trails and maintain the trails, I'm confident there would be a Oxford Cross Country Skiers Association that said, why did you plow the trails? That was the only time that we could use them. So it really is, we do have to weigh out lots of these decisions or factors in our decisions when it comes to that trail maintenance. And that's all I've got. But thank you again. It was really well organized and a very kind approach, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone who spoke to council tonight, whether they were here saying, hey, we really like what you're doing, or we're really upset with you. It's important to hear from the community, and I think that's just part of the process. So I appreciate everyone who spoke, regardless of their position on positions that council has been taking. And for the staff, for all their hard work, because they get a lot more input from the community than we do. We're here twice a month, and our staff gets emails and calls all the time, so I really appreciate the work that you do. I know it's not always easy. I will also want to thank you for speaking about the trail. I have very, very good friends, like really good friends that we're going to be going out to brunch on Sunday who are like, I'm signing this petition. And the first thing that I thought of was when we talked about the most recent snowfall. I forget how many hours our city staff spent just plowing roads and sidewalk maintenance. And it is, yes, it's about the finances, but also the person power to do this. And as Mr. Dreisbach has said, we have an aging population, people close to retirement. So there are a lot of different things to consider, but happy to talk to you after and continue the conversation. But I think it's a big lift for the city at this time. I also want to thank the Miami student community for being out here. We have a group here that was at our PACO meeting. I don't know if I'm going to get it right. Is it an arts policy and advocacy class? They came to our PACO meeting. We did a tour, a little excursion of where the Amtrak station is going to be and where we'd like to see some public art. I know they're going to be presenting to us later this semester. We're looking forward to that. And PACO will also be going to the mural class, again, a subset of PACO, this week to talk to the mural class from the Department of Art about the Duke mural station, mural that's going to be going up at the corner of High and Locust. Looking forward to seeing that. We have our municipal building art show opening in March. It's coinciding with OCAC's second Friday. That date is not in my head. So we're looking forward to that. And also there have been haikus that have been put in area businesses. Thank you for everyone who submitted. Thank you, Ashley, for all your hard work, and city staff for installing them. We're busy at PACO, and I'm really proud of it. So,
Nothing for me tonight.
Just would like to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr., who was monumental in the history of civil rights in our country. The work that man did over the decades, I can't even imagine. Working in inner city schools, education, providing lunches for at-risk youth, education, politics, development of leadership within Black communities and Latino communities as well, and especially acknowledge his Rainbow Coalition push when he ran for president in the 80s. It was a monumental time in this country, and as bits of our history are being absorbed and disappeared, I just want to raise awareness that was a figure, he was a figure to be known about and to recognize. Thank you.
All right. I don't really have anything tonight, so I am just going to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
80 to 73 currently.
All right.
Can we do a proclamation for them as an last?
Played it tough the last time.
Yes, I've been trying to Massachusetts. Yes.
Yeah, I
something.
happen to be that
Pretty unprecedented for them, right?
To be clear, it does not mean that any
I
colonies
know,
were taken.
I know, but it
Of course, we have counsel.
No, we actually don't even know what disrupted them. It's
They make it through UMass.
just in case it could, because that area is protected.